Hi, hello and welcome to the fourth and final candlelit sessions as part of PBH's Free Fringe. I am Catherine O'Driscoll and will be your host one last time for this evening. If you enjoyed tonight's show, you can watch the 3 previous episodes on our YouTube channel at Candlelit Poets. And you should follow us on social media for what we're doing next. Before we get started, I'm just going to explain how tonight works. And don't mind me, I'm definitely not looking at my notes. Firstly, before each poet shares their poem, a content warning will appear on the screen. This is to help you keep control over the safety of your own space. If you see a content warning for a poem that you think might be a trigger for you, you can mute it until the end, when another end card will come up, or you can skip about 3 minutes if you are watching after the live. Secondly, the end cards contain information related to the poem. They can be anything from guides to grounding yourself during a panic attack, helplines, charity information, things like that. These were all selected by me, or the poets themselves, and we have no official affiliation with any of them, just so you know. Next, I wanted to let you know that if a link does come up on the screen, such as in those end cards or the social media for the poets so that you can follow them and see more of their work, we will paste them in the chat. So you don't need to pause for link information. We'll make it easy for you to get it, and you can also rewind the show after the premiere has ended if you want to. Speaking of the live premiere, hi! Hi! I'm kidding, there's a delay. But I and some of the poets featured tonight will be hanging out in the chat tonight, so if you want to talk to us. When sharing content in a digital space, comments work the same way that room engagement does. It replaces ums and clicks and applause and cheering, all those things that poets live on. So if you are liking a poem, please let the poet know through that medium of text. Lastly, we are part of PBH's Free Fringe. The PBH Free Fringe is an organisation that helps artists put on shows at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. That's a bit of a mouthful. Every year. I have been involved multiple times before and just love them. Basically, they give you a venue and the equipment you need to make your show happen, and in return you join a community of artists and help promote each other. You flyer with the Wee Blue book, which has all of the free programs in it, and we will just kind of help each other out, and then the audiences get access to a show for free. So hello, welcome, that's what this is. This year, some shows are in Edinburgh and some are virtual, like this one. You can find more shows, including spoken word, comedy, music, puppetry, anything you can imagine, in the Wee Blue book guide. There is also an app this year, so search for PBH's Free Fringe to get that. As a Free Fringe show, you may have noticed that you can access this show for free. Nice! But we are accepting donations, which will be split between all the performing poets tonight. In case you'd like to show your appreciation in this manner, the information is paypal.me/candlelitpoets or ko-fi.com/candlelit, both of which I'm sure I myself am posting in the chat at this very moment. This is completely optional and no one should feel pressured to donate anything that they can't afford. But if you like the show and that's something you want to do, we more than welcome it. Poets can live on just attention, but we prefer not to. We'll remind you about this at the end. And following the tradition of our previous sessions, up first, I'm going to share a poem so that no one else has to go first. Mum, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry for all the times I walked into roads without looking. Sorry, you know me well enough, I can't pretend I have a predisposition to position myself with intuition. You know better. Me and the traffic, Mum. We go hell for leather. I walk into roadways like I've just finished a job and my mind's finally clear of the daily to-do list. Like I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm sorry that when I last called you I had to tell you that 4 days before my housemates found me on the lip of the river, looking down into its throat, kissing the reality of drowning. I know I was feet first sliding into the coldness you fear, but the deadening of the nerve endings felt like all those times when you've dashed across 2 cities to see me, swept me up and asked what set my neurons alight this time. It felt like muffling everything down to a hushed concern. It felt like the water just wanted to know if I was okay, Mum. I just wanted to tell it the truth. I was just writing poetry on the surface, Mum. I wanted to write in the black with my body. I wanted to flail and thrash and fight. I wanted to survive. I'm sorry I used my feet to write you another suicide note. I'm sorry I didn't have a better word to tell you this. I know you taught me how to read and write, but this monster only speaks to me in agony, and I don't know how to translate for you. I'm so sorry. I've never been a mother. I don't know what it's like to have my child hate one of the only perfect things I've ever made, and I can only imagine how helpless you feel when you find me with tide lines up my arms. Markers of where I was the last time depression flooded me, and I hate to make you feel like that. I'm so sorry. Sorry, this is just another half thought out apology. I want to promise you'll never hold a letter in your hands and know it will be the last from me, but I'm not sure I can keep that promise. And I learned from you the value of my words, so take my words. Keep taking them. Keep telling me I don't need to say sorry, but keep listening. I am sorry. I'm trying. I remember everything you've said to me. Just survive the next few minutes, just breathe, just be. I drag my body from the pits, I spit out the river water, I repeat and I remember. Depression's not my home. It's just where I'm living right now. And I know it doesn't make sense, but I keep going back there. Keep hoping to find something from back then that can save me now, and I know you keep telling me I won't, but depression is such a welcoming house. Mum. Throws the most beautiful parties. You should hear the stories it tells. I wish you could hear the things depression tells me, Mum. Or better yet, I wish I could hear anything else. This poem isn't finished. I'm not sure how it ends yet. But I believe in you more than the voices in my head. I know I've been dipping my toes in the Avon, but somehow take comfort that I'm still grounded by you. I'm still here. I'm still going. And how much longer for, I can't tell you. But I can tell you that the next time I feel like drowning, I will try to say something. The water's cold again. I'm really sorry, Mum. I almost apologised then for getting emotional during that poem, but that seems irrational for a mental health showcase, so I'm going to try not to do that and just leave it alone. We're going to hop right over to Hannah Hodgson, who will share 2 poems with us tonight.
I guess my main message would be whatever kind of bomb goes off in your life, it is relative to other pain that you've experienced in your life. So if something happens and you think it's relatively minor, but it shakes you, that grief and that pain is just as justified as anybody else's deep, deep pain, because the comparing and almost the categorizing of pain, how much time off you should need, those kind of things, is pretty out of control, and that is a form of ableism. So anyway, I'm gonna stop with the poetry / political chat, and I'm going to read you my first poem, which is Leaflet Dispensed by Crows Who Circle Around the Resource Bay Like Overstated Authority Figures. People People with cardiac conditions often experience a sense of impending doom. It's the heart's call to the brain for martial law. Every cell is a police officer clad in riot gear, deployed to essential functions: the brain, the lungs, the vascular system. Possible causes include a blackout, an arrhythmia, or panic attack. As the Prime Minister of your body, remain calm. Pretend everything will be fine, even though they won't. The pandemic has been a particularly tricky time for me and many disabled people around the country. I have now been shielding for 18 months, and what that means for me is essentially I have left the house 7 times, 6 of which were emergency hospital admissions for non-COVID related things. So this time has been the best and the worst times of my life, in that I had a mental health crisis at the beginning of COVID, when the narratives on the news were very it only kills disabled people, and it really made me question my worth. So I started writing poems, just everyday little anchors of where I was at that time. 10th of April 2020. Dad has mowed the lawn 2 days in a row. It explains our lives now. The pushing along of a machine. Blades with nothing to cut. Acting our lives out just to be purposeful. I got dressed up for a Zoom conference and cried at a kind letter which landed on the doormat. I need 2 beneficiaries. I need 2 witnesses who aren't beneficiaries to finalise my will. My lawyer suggests I ask my neighbours to watch through the window, because even with expected deaths, the government aren't changing the rules. My GP rang this afternoon, trying to talk about a do not resuscitate order. I refused. Instead, told him of starlings murmurating and all the living I have left to do. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Hannah, for sharing those 2 pieces. I asked Hannah to share 2 poems tonight because I felt like together they provided a really good description of what it feels like to be a disabled person in the UK right now, with the mental effect that the political context and the personal context of being in hospital or in a hospice has on your mind. Next up, we have Elizabeth McGeown.
Cockroaches die on their backs, legs curled up, a force of exoskeleton exertion combined with the pushing of blood through the pushing of blood through the pushing of blood through the legs causes them to straighten. Cockroaches die on their backs, old and weak, find it hard to exert a force of propulsion to force their legs open, one side may collapse. Cockroaches die on their backs, insecticides affect their nervous system, cause muscular spasms, flip it on its back. I lie on my back. I lie on my back. I wonder, will I die on my back? I'm not ready to talk about me too yet. I will be soon. Can I project my voice as a dead thing? Can I project my voice on my back? Brundlefly changed bit by bit. Significant to him the moments when his face fell off, when he picked an ear up off the floor and tossed it in the trash. Significant to me the moment he sat in a bar, Brundlefly, barfly, and arm wrestled a biker. A man, mountain fixed, stare, arms locked. I couldn't look away. I couldn't look away. I remembered for years how he broke the arm of a bad man, how he regurgitated his power on the arm of a bad man. What would I do to the arms of a bad man? I'm not ready to talk about me too yet. I will be soon. He changed bit by decaying bit. Gregor Samsa changed all at once, both changed from men into something else. Can I change from something other back into one of you? Such a feat has not been documented yet. My ancient reptilian brain, insectile, awakens. Snake is all things snake. Says if I sacrifice solitary cold blood can sizzle, I can sing in the sun, my self-esteem will wind back years to before the shell shock, before you stood in the sea surrounded by seaweed and screamed as it swept against ankles. Be still as starfish, cease the snivelling. For 40 days and nights I stayed in the desert with Snake, who showed me what I could be. Could be slim, smug, sassy girl, celebrated, shiny hair, slip of a thing surrounded by sycophants. Sally, Sarah, Sue goes to soirees, sips champagne, sexes, sexy. Simon sleeps, speaks, sees only what is straight in front of her. Office secretary, supine, spine. Sarah's skin is soft. Smokes, suppurates she, suffers. I tap my sleek, strong shell. I lie on my back. I will not die on my back. Cockroach will not be supine. None of you understand the hydraulic nature of my exoskeleton. Keep the tension in my legs. Keep the tension. Keep the tension. If you want a release of the tension, you have the wrong poet. My legs remain strong.
Absolutely bewitching as always, Elizabeth, and a great place to remind people that if you are trying to write about traumatic events in your life and you feel like you're not ready, don't traumatize yourself by trying to push yourself. If sometimes it takes a while to be able to face up to difficult feelings and to write them down. These amazing poets are making it look really easy, but trust me, the reality is you can only write and talk about things when you're ready to. Hopefully Amy Sterling is ready to talk to us about her poem, All the Little Broken Pieces. Let's go to Amy.
You have always been the talented one. I hid in your shadow, frightened of anything that lay beyond it, but you shone, making our mum proud while I wore a sticker on my school jumper reading, "You tried." You made learning piano in a day look easy, and I watched you from the step and chewed on my sleeve while I wondered if you were born with magic in your veins. You were fireworks. You blew people away, and I couldn't understand why I wasn't soaring with you. You never stopped glowing, you know. When your eyes turned grey, I learnt to play the xylophone on your ribcage. When something behind your smile went away, you had someone else's brain. You told me you were worthless, and I didn't have the words to tell you you were perfect, because you'd heard it all before. I got so angry. Why don't you believe me? Why can't you understand that you're so fucking adored? But you went away, and all you left were little broken pieces on the floor. I tried to rearrange you, tried to put things back in place. I picked up pieces from your brain and pieces from your waist. I picked up empty bottles, overflowing ashtrays, mugs, and when my hands were full, you still told me it just wasn't enough. You taught me how to grow, and now you're shrinking. Please come back so we can spend another day just sitting, talking about our dreams and about the boys that fucked us over. Tell me about your day. Stop counting the hours on your fingers. It's okay to just be, to just sit, to just breathe, and just please stop drinking. You're disappearing, and the pieces are going missing. You have always been the pretty one. Blonde with tits and big lips, but now you're just a walking chaos, hiding secrets in the bags under your eyes. You know that all the little broken pieces still make up your structure. They're just messy now, they're jumbled, and they keep pulling you under. But you can swim, you know. You always could. A talent I never mastered. You're more than just pieces, more than slurred words and disaster, more than thigh gaps, more than daytime TV and drinking gin for breakfast. Please go back to how you were before. I miss you, my big sister.
Oh, Amy's just too talented for her own good, and she has no idea, which is very frustrating. I love this poem. It is so warm and full of love and sadness. It's wonderfully balanced. As is the next poem, which is called A Horse Walks into a Bar, and it is by D. Dickens.
Horse walks into a bar. After Tyrone Lewis. Hey, want to hear a joke? What do you call a horse who lives next door? Neighbour. Horse tries to run away. Terrible tale of whoa! Horse walks into a bar. Barman says, hey. Horse says, yes, please. Horse walks into a bar. Barman offers a glass of water. Horse says, I'm not drinking that. This is not an idiom. It's a joke. You get that the horse is just me, right? That I am the joke. Okay. So, horse walks into the bar and the barman says, why the long face? PTSD, says the horse. Horse walks into a bar, fucks the first stranger who buys it a drink. Horse walks out of a bar, catches sight of itself in a shop window, doesn't eat for 3 days. Horse falls in love with the first horse to show it some attention because of course it does. Why wouldn't it? Stupid horse. Horse gets changed midstream. It's sure it must have been something that it did, shaves its mane off. Horse goes into therapy, spends the first session comforting the therapist. Horse bolts, stable door gets closed. Horse is relieved it can't return to a burning barn. Horse feels the wind in its face as it runs down a beach. Horse has dyspraxia, trips over, horse breaks its leg, gets shot, horse dies, still gets flogged. Horse goes home for Christmas, is warned not to be controversial, spends the whole time throwing up everything it eats. Grandad turns up to Christmas dinner, horse tells him to stay away, family turns on the horse, horse storms out. Horse's family stages intervention, tries to tell it that Grandad is just old, he's from a different time, he's harmless, really, and the horse stops eating. Horse lies on a bed of hay, fantasizing about how flammable it is. Horse walks into a bar. Ouch.
This poem contains so much pain and horror that I'm sure people will relate to, but I do love how Dee mixed comedic elements into their poems to ensure that we really felt their shock with them. Up next is Mythago with It's Raining Again.
We sit, silent. A staring contest none of us quite wants to win, but it has been too long a week to lose again, and grief has already turned this ribcage, our bones, this house, his memory, inside out one too many times. So we sit, silent, staring both ways through the glass until everything is rain again. And skin becomes salt. Becomes skin, becomes salt, becomes sea, becomes blue, becomes sky, becomes stars, becomes eyes, becomes tears, becomes salt, becomes skin again. And are we all circular, spiralling, skittering like water droplets on the hot plate in the kitchen, shaking like water droplets on the hot plate in the kitchen, running like water droplets down the window of the kitchen, and it is raining again outside. And it is raining again inside. And I am so sorry I cannot cook without oversalting everything the way my mother taught me. We were raised on grief and home-cooked dinners. The stovetop a safe space to allow our tsunamis. Enough salt for 5 of us, but only ever 4 places at the table. Enough salt for 5 of us, but 4 sit silent, and it is raining again outside. And it is raining again inside. My mother's bedroom is a bathtub overflowing, and don't you think we've been soaking long enough by now? Skin wrinkled, matching the warped floorboards of this morgue, this churchyard we sleep in on stones engraved with names we never knew well enough. And all the grass is dew-tipped, but all the slugs are shriveled. In the herb garden, my mother picks rosemary and thyme. So much time spent sweetening dishes that only leave us thirsty, and we stand with upturned faces, tongues outreaching. Maybe at least the rain is good for something I don't remember. 6 years old and all the pipes have burst. Water overspilling. It's raining again outside, so we boarded up the windows. There's a storm coming. We were prepared for light flooding, but the monsoon swept us away.
Such an evocative piece that really packs the punch of loss. Thank you for sharing it with us, Mythago. Up next we have Siley with Talk Talk.
Before the photograph was knighted, story was the measure of how we remember who had the knack for kindling laughter in our neighborhoods. You are an active element in memory, bouncing an anecdote off your knee, half volley clean into the back of the goal. Conversation is a team sport. Talk unburdens the teeth, keeps the people and seasons we've lost in reasonable hands. There is no reason to stay slumped on your faces if family can carry you, and only if you'd like us to. The words you never say about the worlds we never see stand guard between us and the first vowel of liberty. A mood ring around a deaded digit can't point you to the medicine. Prosthetic grins serve cinema, and this is not a movie. I need blood and flesh to fold into tenderness. Bake bread with me. Under the supervision of warm language, that itch inside your chest has something to say beyond breath about where you really are. Where are you really? Only time will tell. The stampeding granules in the hourglass move to cover the years in precarious pyramids of natural rifts, lips, and twists that we name for ourselves. While learning to walk again, in the service of good health, we should talk more. Trade recipes for sleepless nights, stubborn thoughts, and peanut butter cupcakes. I don't know. Let's talk more.
A refreshing poem that reminds us to keep reaching out. A really important message that I really wanted these sessions to include was one of hope, specifically hope in community. Speaking of community, I want to introduce Anne Gill, one of the absolute pillars of the Unislam community. She will be sharing her poem, Why We Don't Eat Sweet Corn.
My father's spade, the sharp edge, the worm long as my palm split in two. How wet at the break, how unclean. How dirt sticks in the nails, and how, come harvest, the corn won't stop talking, ears open and scheming. At harvest, ungloved, we squeeze the plants until milk comes, and we take the ears, and copying our father, twist them into submission, our hands dirty and rough as each other's. Each time we blink, earwigs erupt from the empty shells and crawl, persistent, towards us. We sell the corn to our mother at supermarket prices. Weigh it with a pinky on the scale. A promise. The earwigs enter the house when she cooks the corn, lay eggs as she spreads them with butter. The kernels stick in our teeth. The butter turns rancid. The pink tablecloth. Hard skins stubborn in our teeth. Our mother's scale. Our weights always in the lower percentile. Earwigs eating at insides. I can make 3 salad leaves last an hour. I'm not proud of it. The heart constricting at the sight of a plate. The yellow corn, loud and relentless.
A gorgeously subtle poem with Anne's trademark of drawing you in and then revealing the heart of the poem to you. This next poem is by an absolute legend. This is Callum Wensley with their poem, What to Do When Your Child is Hurting Themselves.
A woman, a mother, found me in the interval of a mental health spoken word show. Shoulders as thin as her fading smile, she thanked me for my words, and I never know how to respond to that. And she told me that her son has been hurting himself again, and I didn't know how to respond to that. And she's looking at me, eyes filled with questions, and I realise she's looking to me for answers, and I don't know how to respond to that. I stress that I'm not a doctor, counsellor, therapist, qualified in any way, but she smiles, takes my hand, and asks me what she should do. What should a mother do when their child is hurting themselves? 1, be there. 2, understand this was never your fight. You are the coach, and you stand there, towel in hand, and you've never felt more like throwing it in than when you're watching your boy get bloodied, but you know. If you give up now, they will never forgive you. 3, do not raise your voice. Get mad, but don't show it. There's a voice in their head that tells them they are wrong. Do not give them a way to visualize it. 4, be there when they need you. 5, be close by when they don't. 6, sometimes asking if someone is okay is a reminder that they are not, have not, will not be okay. This woman, mother, learned to change her language from daughter to son, so I ask her to change it again. Replace the "are you okays" with "what do you need?" Closed questions can open old wounds like a saw blade. 7, and I can't stress this enough, don't ask a poet potentially life-changing questions. 8, my mother never hid the sharp objects. Never had to. Only glass bottles and metal cans, and I would advise you do not make your child improvise. 9, get help. For them, for you, talk openly. Tell them about your own struggles, encourage them to do the same. Get sad if they don't, but don't show it. Just give them that space and see what they create. 10, don't expect too much too soon. If it's to get better, that means it got worse. But I promise it can get better. Thank you.
A crucial poem exploring self-harm and how to help people you love who are struggling with it, from Callum there. Now for something nourishing and soothing from Faye Roberts with their poem Lifting Jormungandr, which I almost definitely didn't say right. Sorry.
Lifting Jormungandr. Today is difficult. Send water, send the sea, send endless sea-washed sand, send send the sea wind on my face, send the nighttime quiet strengthening sea wind. Send hearing for miles of nothing but the sea washing, the wind in marram grass. Today prickles on raw skin. Send blankets, send blankness, send an enveloping closeness, send still air warm with only my own breath. Send only my own body reflected, send being bound in a nutshell, send being master of infinite space, send a horizon an inch distant. Today is endless. Send everything that is not this just for a span. Send singing waters, clear horizons. Send an airing cupboard with a lock inside. Send boundaries. Send an end. please. My skin is filled with wasps. Do not send me extra things to lift. Even the smallest grain of sand is beyond my strength, and what seems like nothing to shift is huge. What seems like a gift is another burden. I beg you, send me nothing at all, except for silence and unspeaking love. Jormungandr is the Midgard serpent. He's a child of Loki. He is a monster. He encircles the earth with his tail in his mouth. And as far as we know, until Ragnarok, only Thor can lift Jormungandr.
Oh, a lovely poem that reminds us that asking for help and setting boundaries are two different ways that we can help establish a firm foundation for our own recovery. Absolutely very important message. Our final poet of tonight, and in fact for all of the candlelit sessions at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe this year, is from Sam J. Grudgings, and the poem is called Sober.
Hello, I'm Sam, I'm a poet, you are an audience, therefore that makes this a poem. It's called Sober, it goes a lot like this. I have my coffee strong, because I am not. And I've been keeping strange hours in stranger company as a result. See, I've been sick for years. I've always known what my cure was, I just never stopped to take it, because the antidote always was, take none with nothing but strength and willpower, and the only thing I knew about strength was how strong to pour my drink, and that was always too strong. And alcoholics' lives are measured in minutes and days, they're measured in units and regrets and the ways they could have changed, but didn't. And I can tell you, even now, it still feels like a Herculean effort not to stay the destructive same. But we're talking mythology. Right now, I'm more like Ariadne, spinning the web of my story and the strands of my recovery around those I love and others around me. And as a poet, I know that I should always pick the option that gives me the best story to tell, but I have been slurring this narrative to every bartender in the city for the past 6 years that would listen, and even those that wouldn't. The verdict is in. The script is shit, the backstory is cliched, and the acting is amateur dramatics at best. So, perhaps time to change my tactics. The cold and sober fact is, I am better off without this. I don't want to rely on poisons to cripple against inevitability, not when all my friends were these fighters who had to put on this brave face to put up with me, when statistically speaking I would just let them down. I always used to say Sam will give up any day now, but I don't see this as giving up, because that suggests that when I was drinking I was trying to achieve something, and every alcoholic is a failure. And I can't seem to meet your gaze these days. I know that used to be because I couldn't see straight. Right now it's because I'm suffering from a slight crisis of confidence and faith. If you want to talk about my insecurities, then being drunk was the lock, where being sober is the key. So here is every raw and shitty inch of me. I got so damn tired of being so damn tired, and I don't want to become that perpetual motion machine of drinking in my questions and pissing out my answers and talking to doctors and always hearing them say cancer, never accepting for a second that addiction was anything other than a fiction. But if that is a fact, right, then I was living a decade of my life as a lie. It used to be when the drink ran out. So did I. Now, the only shot I'm interested in taking, right, is this one last shot I have a leading and examined and somewhat sober life, so forgive me. If I avoid every offer to avoid my accountability, this is my response to irresponsibility. It used to be the rocks on which I drank my whiskey were the only geological permanence in my life. And I miss those once rock-solid friends who will not let bygones be bygones And I still can't explain the way the weight of the world feels so unsteady sober that it feels like I haven't got a leg to stand on. I bet they never tell you about what goes through the mind of an addict. The way that the landslide of withdrawal hit you so hard, leave you sick. I bet they never tell you about the responsibilities resting as boulders on the shoulders of those who wish they did not have to grow any older. Though these tremors make my fingers look like earthquakes, I am ready to hold my seismic hands to the skies and tell you that I am done feeling rock bottom. 5 years ago they told me that it only took 12 steps, but it is still looking like thousands. And though I'm standing on the shoulders of giants as friends, I am still looking up at the tops of mountains. And I'm ready to use my strength and my will to keep making those mountains look like fucking molehills. But however far you go, every journey begins with just a single step. So let me take my first one here real quick. Hello, my name is Sam, and I'm an alcoholic.
And that is the end of our final show, sadly. Thank you for sharing the space with us. We really hope that you enjoyed it. You can follow us on social media at Candlelit Poets everywhere for updates on our upcoming events, such as the Over 25s Only Slam. That was an exclusive reveal, hope you enjoyed that. And you can follow PBH's Free Fringe on Twitter and Instagram at The Free Fringe. And on Facebook they are at free.fringe, so you can follow them. And they also have a donation option on their website, which is freefringe.org.uk/donate. And if you want to donate to the poets you've seen here tonight, that information again is paypal.me/candlelit-poets or ko-fi.com/candlelit. I want to say one last thank you to all of the poets who are involved tonight, but also all of the poets who are involved in the previous episodes. Thank you all for sharing your poems. That is obviously what made this magical community space that we have been so privileged to share with you all. This is such a beautiful community and I love being part of it. Speaking of community, you can check out www.spokenwordcommunity.com for a forum for UK spoken word artists. That's not related to this show at all, but the camera person is the only person here who could stop me from saying whatever the hell I like. Okay, back on topic. If you have a poem that would have fit into tonight's showcase, then I have good news for you. I am curating a showcase just like this, but a little bit smaller, for the Full House Literary Festival in September. The great news is that I will be inviting some amazing poets to share their work, but we also have an open call, so you can send us your work if you want to be involved too. Follow them at Full House Lit Mag on Twitter for when that all opens up. Final thanks to Kasha Faye Pascoe and Loretta O'Driscoll for helping me film, and we will see you again soon. Until then, stay safe and remember that you are not alone.